Hey there friends, it's Dominique from the Pixie Planner. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to show you what has been going on with my budget system. Now, if you've watched my recent one, which was actually maybe a month ago, it's been a while, you'll have seen that I definitely fell off the wagon. We went through some hard times, but I'm back on and I've made some alterations to my cash envelope more than anything. And I want to show you what I've been trying out that's actually been working better for me. So if you're interested, keep watching. Okay guys, so here we are. I am taking advantage of the beautiful sunlight we are getting today. So I am huddled on the floor, so if you see my legs at any point, pardon, sorry, I'm going to try to keep them out. Okay, so what you're seeing here are the items that I have used over the past few months to help me manage my budget. So we're going to start with what I began using in January. So in January, I decided to try the cash envelope system. So I purchased this Bella Taylor wallet, and what's great is that it divides your credit cards and your cash. So if you are needing to go into your wallet and just pull out your ID, you're not fumbling around with a bunch of cash that everybody, can have their eyes on. I do like that you can fit a checkbook in here, pen to hold, a pen holder to hold your pen. So this was super handy, and I'll show you here the sections here for the cash envelope that I was using. So I had groceries, I had gas, miscellaneous, fun, health, beauty, entertainment. So this was really great for the short time I used it. So January and February, I was really good using the cash envelope system, but I live in Maine, and for whatever reason, nobody wants to work past 4 p.m., it seems like. And I always had a heck of a time getting to the bank on time to withdraw cash. So I found that I was skipping days of not being able to get a hold of cash and using my debit card because of that. So it was very difficult for me to stick with that cash system. And plus my hours at work, I don't get off until 6 p.m. So no bank is open at that time. So with that being a challenge, and then on top of it, again, where I live in Maine, we don't have access to many shopping plazas or, stores such as Michael's or Target. We have a Walmart nearby, but it's not the greatest. And I ended up pretty much spending most of my time on Amazon to get items that I needed, and I still do. The nearest store is like over an hour away if I need items for the house or things like that. So that was just really, really challenging for me to use cash. So I fell off the wagon last month, and what is it, March? Yeah, March. The whole month of March pretty much was a wash. And decided, you know what, I need to figure something else out. I really need to stay on top of my budgeting, but need to find something else. So I ended up just putting that aside, and what I went on to was, and this was just a few weeks ago when I started April off with my first paycheck, I decided, I'll close this real quick so it's not too distracting. I decided to try to mimic the cash envelope system, but while using my debit card. So I pretty much kept the main categories that I had before, and which is hobby, food, miscellaneous, health, and fun. And I decided to just kind of write out on a basic 3x5 index card what I would pretty much be doing with my cash envelope system, keeping track of what store it is, if you know, it's income or outgoing amount. So I did this for the past couple of weeks, and this worked really great. And I was really satisfied for the past couple of weeks how this worked for me. My only issue with it is, now, when I am at the store and I find an item that I realize I could really use, but it's maybe not in my budget with these categories I have broken up, I feel like I'm kind of bouncing around. So if I want to take, you know, $20 of my food envelope to go ahead and purchase that miscellaneous item, then, you know, for me to transfer that amount onto here, it was just really getting mixed around. And if you can see here, I'll show you like an example. I did not need the $50 for health this paycheck. So I rolled over, which, you know, priorities, rolled it over into my hobbies. But I rolled over that $50 into my hobby envelope, and it was just, it got a little bit too mixed up for me. I want to have more flexibility. If I have extra in a category, I want to be able to roll it over and not, you know, struggle with, oh, well, how do I write that out on my index card? And should I scratch this out and write it as rollover? Or, you know, maybe week to week, I'm not going to have the exact same categories. So to sit there and really think about, okay, well, maybe I don't need health, but I'll need an auto, you know, category for this week. It's kind of just a lot of being all over the place and got me a little stressed out. So with this working out very well to keep track of my debit card purchases, I was trying to think, well, how can I have the flexibility to change my categories from paycheck to paycheck and also not stress about if I want to use extra money from my fun category for a different category. To minimize jumping around, I was researching and I came across funcheaporfree.com, and I will show you here. She has, and I'm sorry, I can't think of her name right now. I will leave her information down below. She has a YouTube channel and a blog, and it is just like brilliant. She's a mom of like 5 or 6 kids, and I mean, she's just got her shit together. It's pretty phenomenal. So the way she does her budgeting and the cash envelope system, 2 categories. That's it. Grocery. So this is something that we all need in our lives. Like, we need to eat. We need to have clean clothes. We need to have toiletries. We need to have, you know, all those items that you would find at your local grocery store. And then there's other. So this would be your needs, and other would be your wants. So other would be my miscellaneous category. It would be my fun category. It would be my health, my hobby, whatever I want it to be. And I still would not be sacrificing taking too much money out from my needs while I'm, you know, wanting different, you know, hobby items, different things for the house. I don't have to worry about that crossing over and taking too much from my absolute need. So I was super intrigued when I watched her video and also read her blog on her budgeting technique. I mean, how awesome is that? Where now I don't have to fumble around with all of these index cards trying to categorize things, when ultimately you think about it, it is just that simple. You have your needs and you have your wants. And to me, that just makes sense. At least right now, I am going to be trying this for my second paycheck coming up this Friday. So I haven't used her system for the first 2 weeks, but the last 2 weeks I'm definitely going to.
So how she does it is you budget out what you're going to need in groceries for the month and then your others. So say I need $200 for groceries for that month. You would just divide that by 4 and then you've got your $50 a week. So you're going week by week here. And so you'd write up here at the top $50, whatever the other is going to be. Let's say that's going to be $50 as well. So once I buy my groceries for the week and, buy whatever else I need, I'm starting off a new week with $50. So it's only 1 week at a time that you have to get through. And what she explains is you can borrow from side to side. So say I need a little extra money from my groceries, I can borrow it from my other, but never borrow down into your next weeks, because then that's when you get yourself into trouble. So I am going to be trying this system out for my next 2 weeks. This is still going to be, debit card use. The main difference though with my, envelopes, I'm only going to have 2. And I'm really curious to see how that's going to work for me. And the great thing is as well, this is on an envelope. So I printed this up from her website. She has free printables. Here is May. I printed it and I trimmed it down. So I'm just taking a blank envelope and I did just a little washi tape to really reinforce the glue. It's kind of crappy glue I have, but it's on a blank envelope. So all of my receipts from each week are going to go in here. So I will have a full month's of receipts in this envelope. So that way I can keep track of my spending. I can keep track of any, reimbursements for taxes or anything like that can go in this envelope. It also allows me to double check my spending. So, because I am notorious for, again, it's easy to swipe a card and go, but I am notorious for being bad about writing my spending down. So having all the envelopes here, I can then open up my budget by paycheck binder. And so for April here, if you've watched any of my budget videos before, you know that I have roughly been following the Budget Mom's Budget by Paycheck. I really, really love her system. But again, the cash envelope portion was a struggle for me. So with April, let's go into, here's my envelope. So I'm writing everything down the exact same way I did for January with my cash envelopes, except it's my debit card that I'm using. So I'm keeping track of everything and I'm making sure to write out here how much I am putting in my envelope for the month and tracking everything down. So now if I happen to, forget to write something in here, I will have it in my envelope. I'll have all the receipts so that way they match up. It's just another extra reinforcement that I am noting everything that is going in and going out of my bank account. So I have April here. I've been back on track with April and super proud of myself. But this was my breakdown for my first paycheck. So it was the breakdown of all the bills that I was going to be having to deal with for that specific paycheck. And then this is when I was categorizing these index cards, breaking it down. Leftover amount went to dental because I have an appointment coming up this month. And then I put a small amount into my emergency fund. So that was out of my first paycheck. Second paycheck I am going to be working on. Now that I'm kind of changing things up with this envelope, I have to kind of see how I'm gonna, budget things for these two categories. It's probably going to be the exact same, but I haven't broken all of that down just yet. But again, it's something that I'm just trying, and really that's what you have to do with your budget. Everyone is so different with how it works for them. You just have to go and try whatever you can get your hands on. You know, the cash envelope did not work for me. It's not going to, just because of my circumstances. The index cards were a great step forward, but I found that I was just needing to jump around a little too much and changing up my categories too often. And so the next step for me is just to simplify things a little bit further. Like, I want to make budgeting as easy as possible for me. I don't need an extra thing to stress about. So by simplifying it to the 2 categories, I think this is really going to work well for me. So I'm certainly going to keep you guys updated with how the next 2 weeks goes for me. Now, off of this, I showed you in the beginning that I had this beauty here. So this is my Hobonichi cover. I have been using my Hobonichi weeks for kind of social media tracking, and I decided, actually let me make sure I remove some information before I go showing it off. There we go. I decided that maybe I can, if this kind of tracking doesn't work well for me, because I'm not carrying this thing around with me all day long. And if I get home and I forget to input things, I'm just giving myself options. I'm giving myself some backup options here. So my Hobonichi that I've been using as social media tracker, I was thinking about trying it out for spending tracker as well. So in the first week of April here, I started my new 12-week goals. So I wanted to go ahead and write that down so that way I can, you know, kind of flip back here, refer to it as needed. But I'm really just kind of keeping track of days that I'm wanting to film and upload. I'm keeping track of big events just as an extra, you know, emphasis, don't forget this kind of thing. But with my social media, I want to keep track of, you know, when I'm replying to comments and posting. So I thought, you know what, let me start adding in my spending since this is my wallet. It's super easy to just, as I put my card back in, to just open up to the week that I'm on and then write down what I spent money on. So I am kind of trying this out and seeing how this might also work, and I am trying it at the same time as, you know, what I'm doing with this system. It's just an extra way of reinforcing. It may be a lot for some people, but I'm an individual that I need to really write things down, and if I'm duplicating it, it's okay, because it's only going to help me build that habit by repetition. So I'm gonna use this still as my social media, but I also wanna keep track of my spending and keep track of days that I have no spends. That's especially for like no spending on my want items. My need items, that's different, but more so on my want items. And my first 2 days this week, I have not spent anything, which is great, and I'm not going to be spending any more until payday. So Friday's payday, that's when I'm going to set up my new budget. And then for my monthly here, you can kind of see a little more about my upload and film schedule. But I also wrote my goals here that are focused on my finances as well as my social media. So this is just kind of a nice way for me to carry this binder around by duplicating a little bit of, you know, my spending my tracking of my spending, as well as my social media, so I'm not cluttering up my regular planner with social media. I don't want to get that mixed in with my personal life. I still think of my social media as not necessarily work. It's fun, you know, it's fun, but I don't want to mingle that with my personal life and my memory keeping. So this is another option for me, is making use of the Hobonichi weeks as a way for me to check my spending on the go. So what I'm gonna end up doing is carrying this around with me, referring to this on a regular basis because this stays at home, and at the end of the year I will have a book on everything that I have been working towards with my savings and my budgeting. And then I will also hopefully have 12 lovely envelopes of these, or well, not 12 because we're already a few months in, but you know what I mean. So I will definitely update you guys again on how this is working. I'll probably do another update in a couple of weeks after I've gone through my last couple weeks with this. And I'm hoping this is really going to do the trick. And, you know, if any of you guys are struggling with your budgeting as well, I highly, highly recommend that you maybe give this a try. I will leave the information down below for the Fun, Cheaper, Free website, and also the YouTube video that I watched of hers that really inspired me to try this. So if you guys have any questions, please leave them down below. If you are not yet part of the family, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. So hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know exactly when I am uploading a new video. I appreciate you guys so very, very much, and I'll see you again soon in my next one. Bye.